I think that anybody who has a 4-digit CCIE
Yeah.
deserves an original Gangster of IT shirt. Hey, welcome to this video. My name is Keith Barker. Joining me in the studio today, well, virtually anyway, is my good friend, Mr. Kevin Wallace. Welcome, Kevin.
Thanks, Keith. Yeah, as you were saying that, I was thinking, how long has it been? I think it's been like 19 years or something like that since we came across each other's paths.
Has it been that long?
Yeah.
It
I
only
remember.
feels like 18. So let's go back. Let's wind back the time machine for a second.
Sure.
And I think our first experience together was KnowledgeNet. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, I remember I went to work for KnowledgeNet at the end of 2000, and I was the new guy on the block, and you were kind of the superstar. I remember as I was coming in there, and so I was just soaking up everything from people like you and Jeremy and Anthony and lots of great folks.
Wow, that was like the genesis of a lot of stuff, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah.
And then you got your CCA back in 2003?
2001. Yeah.
2001.
Yeah.
And what is your 4-digit CCIE number?
Well, it's 7945, so I'm still in the 7,000s. I think you're in the 6,000s if I remember correctly.
I think that anybody who has a 4-digit CCIE deserves an original Gangster of IT shirt. That's a long time. I'm
a proud owner of one of those. You gave me one. I appreciate it.
What did you teach at KnowledgeNet back in the day?
Well, I'd actually come to KnowledgeNet from Disney World because a huge Disney fan, as you know.
Yep.
And I was one of 5 network designers down at Walt Disney World. I actually got to design the network that tied together the Magic Kingdom and Epcot and the Animal Kingdom and what's now Hollywood Studios. And I was working a lot with the Cisco Catalyst 6500 series switch back there. And that was like such an ultimate piece of equipment. I called it the box that rocks. And right about the time that I was having to move back to Kentucky for my mother's health, and I was noticing that, hey, this company called KnowledgeNet, they're looking for an online instructor. I actually had my CCSI instructor certification, and I thought, hey, what a great fit. And they were introducing a new course about the 6500. So it was a perfect fit. So that was the very first thing I did. I got in and I helped teach the class on the Cisco Catalyst 6500. Did that for a while, and I remember I got a call from our boss at the time, and he was telling me, okay, we're gonna go out and we're gonna go security and we're gonna go voice. And he says, you're going to do one, Keith is going to do the other. And he asked, I'm sure he had the same conversation with you. It's like, okay, what do you want? And my response was, well, I kind of grew up in the telephony world. My dad worked for the local telephone company. I kind of grew up in and around a central office, and telephony was literally in my blood. I put together basic telephone networks in my basement as a kid, and I thought, oh yeah, I want to do telephony. And I remember you were all about security, and that's kind of how we were all kind of route switched for a while, and then we started going these separate paths. But that's kind of the genesis. I started focusing on voice, and then later that turns into collaboration and communications manager and all that fun stuff.
Wow. I did not realize the backstory about KnowledgeNet and those courses. That's really cool. So if I said something like PLAR to you, that means something, right?
PLAR, private line automatic ring down. Yeah, and nobody uses it, but I know the acronym.
Well, now in your CCIE exam back in the day in 2001, you had to actually configure that, right?
Yeah, I guess we can talk about that now since it's been 18 years since I got certified. I hope I'm not under the NDA for that anymore. But yep, I sure did. And if anybody's wondering, okay, what are they talking about? What's PLAR? That's where you pick up a phone, you don't dial any number, it just automatically rings some other phone number, and it was just kind of a cool feature. But I don't know anybody that uses it, and I haven't heard anything about it officially for decades probably.
You want to hear a short story about PLAR and my lab experience?
Love it.
Okay, so I studied with Ed Yunez.
Mm-hmm.
We were in the same lab environment, same day of testing. We studied together for months and months. About 2 weeks before the exam, I was done studying. Have you ever felt that way?
I have.
and I was just at a point where I'm so tired of studying. I'm done. I'm going to go and take the lab. And Ed said to me, "Have you practiced your voice over IP?" And I said, I looked at the configs. I'm good. He said, "Dude, connect into my rack. Practice doing, the voice over IP ports, the FXO and FXS ports, where they were, and practice, the blueprint." And so I practiced PLAR one time. And on the first day of the lab, back in those days, of course, it was 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
On the first day of the lab, I had major problems with connectivity and other major issues that I felt. And I was near the very end of the day, and I had one more task I needed to get in to get enough points to continue, and it was the voice over IP. And so I just threw in my configs, save, and then I reached for the phone. And I knew that if I pick up this phone and the other one rings, there's a chance that I can continue to day 2. And so I picked up that phone. The other phone rang. Kathy was the proctor. She heard it. And I thought, I have a chance. And I owe all that to Ed Yunez for encouraging me to push it a little bit further. But boy, those were the old days. And did you had the route switch exam back in 2001, is that right?
Yeah. We had token rings. Had a token ring switch back in those days. Yep.
Oh my gosh, I spent so much time learning token ring switching, and then I realized by talking to another person later that if I hadn't configured anything on token ring and just left it a broadcast network, like our one flat network, it wouldn't have broken the other things in the lab. So he told me, I didn't bother configuring that. I was like,
kidding.
What? That's like a month of my life I'm not getting back.
Oh yeah.
And then back to the 6500 that you worked with at Disney, that workhorse, right? That machine. Mm-hmm. And you remember the RSM modules?
Yeah, the RSM, the route switch modules. That actually goes back to the Catalyst 5000 and 5500 series. The 6500 had the MSFC, the multi-layer switch feature card. Wow, you're making me think about things that I haven't thought about in like 15 years or so. That's wild. Yeah.
Okay, well, I was thinking 6500, the old RSM, but you're telling me it's the chassis before that.
Yep, it was the MSFC and the 6500.
Okay, and that was the big advancement. So the supervisor module had that little mother-daughter card, right?
It did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good times, Mr. Wallace.
Good times indeed.
Didn't you tell me that the Jungle Cruise has some things that are connected with, or did at many decades ago, by using ATM?
It wasn't the Jungle. You're close because it was a jungle. It just wasn't the Jungle Cruise. It was Animal Kingdom. Yeah, Animal Kingdom was actually configured with ATM, and they had the sound effects such that they would not repeat given like however many years. But the sounds were actually all transmitted via ATM back then. And when you would come into the park gates, like at the Magic Kingdom, it was it was ISDN. Specifically, it was BRI. There was a BRI connection between the little gate entrance and their mainframe computer.
Wow, that is so fun to think back on all that. So now at Disney, as you know, they've got the bracelets and the high tech and high speed, and they've really upped it. I love it. What do you think about the bracelet at Disney?
They use all kinds of RFID technology for that. And now with the bracelet, it's one of the cool things that I was surprised with a few years ago. You're on a ride. You didn't swipe in or anything. You're just on the ride, and you get the little photo pass thing after the fact. And here's all your pictures from Disney that the photographers took. They include videos of me like going as I'm going down the mine train ride, because they were able to take a video based on that bracelet that I had. It's pretty cool. Yeah. In fact, fun story. My oldest daughter Stacy, she just went to work at Walt Disney World within the past week, and she's working at the Emporium. Stop by and say hi, anybody that's going to be doing the Disney World experience anytime soon.
Oh, that's fantastic. Congratulations, keeping it in the family.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That is great. I want to chat with you about when you first got into IT, struggles that a person. Well, let's talk about a new person who is maybe they have a different career. They're somewhere between the age of 15 and 50, and they think there's something better out there for them. They're considering IT. What are some of the tips that we could tell, I'm going to say you could tell that individual that would be beneficial for them, help them keep the motivation and have success in making a transition into IT, and what can they expect?
Well, I think in a lot of careers, you've got the opportunity to sometimes shadow somebody, and the idea behind shadowing is you just kind of follow them along and see what they do day to day. And in a lot of jobs, it's a finite amount of things that they're going to do during the day. But when you say IT, it's so incredibly broad. We could be talking wireless or software-defined networking or route switch or data center. It's secure. It just goes on and on. So I think a great first step, just to see if somebody has an interest in IT or a specific field in IT, is to take a look at one of the introductory level courses. I'm not even CCNA, just something like CompTIA's Network Plus, because it covers such a breadth of technologies. I call it a sampler platter. You take a look at that sampler platter and you come out of that knowing if it's resonating with you or not. Is that something that you would like to do ongoing, and just kind of playing with equipment in your home? Or a lot of people I know that get into the industry, they're the de facto IT pro in their family. So when your cousin wants their printer connected, they're the one that gets the call, and they get a lot of experience to work with things like that. If you enjoy that and you think it might be for you, yeah, you don't even have to take the test. I would just go grab a book or grab a course on something like the CompTIA Network Plus certification, and just see if that juices you. I personally, the first course I took was the CCNA course back in 1998, and I'm telling you, out of all the courses I've ever taken, that's my favorite course. And in fact, I did a webcast last night and actually found that book, and I showed it to him. It's all dog-eared and all kinds of notes in it. But
Wow.
That's really what made me know that this is cool stuff. It was my first exposure to Cisco, and I thought, I love this stuff. I saw the possibility. It just really got me, and I thought, yeah, this is what I want to do with my career. From 1998, and then from that point, got my CCNA, and it was a 3-year journey from that to get my first IE. But yeah, just take a look. Just get a basic surface level understanding of a bunch of IT technologies, and see if you really get stoked about it.
That is great advice, because I think the word you used is juice.
Yeah.
If it doesn't juice you, if a person's not excited about it, that may not be something they want to do for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
I know that feeling. Most IT people that I work with have had that experience as well, as whereas they just like, oh my gosh, this is so darn cool.
Yeah.
Now, back in the day, was it? I'm gonna go back in the time machine again.
Okay.
Was it ICRC? Was that the name of the first Cisco book?
ICRC, yeah, interconnecting Cisco.
ICRC.
Can you give me if you can give me 10 seconds off camera, I'll grab the book and I'll show it to you. So
yeah.
It's on the other side of the room. I'll be back in like 7 seconds.
That'd be great. I will remember you. I will. So yeah, that's amazing that he still has the original book. I'm excited to see it. I can't wait.
All right. You are correct. It is ICRC, Introduction to Cisco Router Configuration. And here on the video, I'm holding up to the camera, and you can see as I flip through it, I've got just tons of notes. Covers some really fascinating topics like DECnet and Banyan Vines and X.25 and some fun stuff. But yeah, this course let me know that, yep, this is what I want to do with my life.
Ah, that is so cool. And the follow-up was ACRC?
Yep, advanced. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And you don't have to go get it, but do you have that book too?
I do. I couldn't find it in 7 seconds, but I do have that book.
That's amazing. Those books are like 20 plus years old.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Wow. I don't know if I have anything that old. Besides, my digits and stuff that are on me. That's fantastic. So here's what I heard you say. Take a look at an introductory course. See if it resonates or if it's interesting to a person. If it is, pursue it.
Mm-hmm.
As far as getting into IT, if you can shadow somebody who's doing the IT work, that's really great to see what they do, how they do it. If you're already the IT person in your family or friends and circles, that may be a good indicator that you could make a career out of it. And I heard a rumor, Kevin. I wonder if you could confirm it for me.
All right, we'll see.
The world, with its very rapidly changing technology and more things going digital and online, the world is going to need consistently more and more and more IT professionals.
I would agree with that.
And is it also possible that the jobs in 10 years we haven't even envisioned yet because of the changes coming up?
Yeah, I'm thinking, let's see, 10 years ago, I would not have thought SDN, software-defined networking, would have made the impact it would today, that it has today. And I'm sure you've seen the statistics. You're much more of a security person than I am, but the projections for the number of cybersecurity professionals come like 2023, I heard the stat. It's like there's going to be something on the order of 3 million, not jobs, but unfilled jobs. The demand is it's just nuts. This is definitely a growing field. It's not mature by any means.
And the secret for security is starting at home. So everybody within the sound of my voice, if you're not using a password manager already, that's the number one thing you can do to start improving your security.
Mm-hmm.
I have a personal favorite, but if you just go like to Reddit or rankings and such, they're very affordable. Some are virtually free. That's a good start. And also, security in networks and systems, it needs to be baked in, not just sprinkled on top as an afterthought. Like back in the 90s when I started working with networks with Novell
Mm-hmm.
and coax cable, going way, way back in the time machine, we were just excited about, sharing a file on a common server.
Yep.
And we had group rights and things. But now security is part of design of applications and services, and the weakest link is going to cause a failure. Did you hear about, I hate to say it because I like them. Well, there's another major bank that just a couple weeks ago had another big breach. And then a few months ago, there was a major hotel
Mm-hmm.
that had a major breach. And it's not really a question of if our information and data will be compromised. It's a question of when.
Yeah, it's a never-ending game of leapfrog. We'll come up with something to defeat a particular vulnerability, and then somebody will beat that. I love Cisco's approach of security in depth. And what I envision is a bunch of blankets. It's a cold night, and you cover up with a blanket here. It gets your left leg. You cover up with all these different blankets. You've got overlapping layers of coverage. Well, that's what you need in your security environment. You need overlapping layers of security. You don't just get a firewall. You don't just get an ASA and say, okay, I'm secure. No, there's lots of things. You got to keep all your signatures up to date. There's just all sorts of things, all sorts of vulnerabilities. And one of the biggest, I'm sure you know, is social engineering. And you're not going to get a piece of equipment that's going to defeat social engineering attacks. That comes down to user education. So yeah, it's a constant struggle.
And as far as credit goes and credit checking, this is not a pleasant discussion to do, but it's important. If you live in, I'm going to speak for United States. It's important to lock your credit on all three bureaus. And people say, oh, it's such a hassle, I have to do that. But ever since Equifax, all our information's in the wild. And so that's another tip that probably most Americans are not doing, but they ought to do. Just lock your credit on all three. They'll give you a PIN. So if you ever need to unlock it for a credit check, you can. But that's an important step. So password management for individuals, I use LastPass. I'm not sponsored by LastPass, but I'm a believer. It's a great product. And I use the family version so I can have those loved ones that I have also have it.
Mm-hmm.
And also locking your credit. All right. So I'm not sure how we talked about that. But Kevin, you have always been impressive to me. You've influenced and trained probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people over your career. I like your style. I like your connectivity, how authentic you are. And people can find you at which primary location if they wanted to search you out on I know they could do a Google search for Kevin Wallace, but where can we find you for those people who want to find you on the social media of your choice?
Well, my main home base, of course, is my homepage, and it keeps everybody updated. When I come out with a new blog post, it's going to be there. So if you want to see what's latest and greatest, it's KWTrain, TRAIN, short for Kevin Wallace Training. So it's kwtrain.com. But if you just want to watch a bunch of like hundreds of my videos, I've got hundreds of free videos available on YouTube. My YouTube channel is K Wallace CCIE, KWALLACE CCIE, K Wallace CCIE.
Okay, cool. And then what is your social security number again? Just messing
Social engineering. There we go.
That was an overt attempt at humor, of course. Kevin, I appreciate you chatting with me. Also, I want to point out for everybody else, I had an interview with Kevin at Cisco Live, and I was using the cameras over there. I was using the wrong mics, and the background noise was just enough to really not get the message through. And I thought, I need to fix this. So I reached out to Kevin, and I said, I'm so sorry. I can't use that video because the audio is not very good. Would you mind being willing? And Kevin, I appreciate you jumping in and saying, yep, I'd be happy to help.
Oh. Yeah.
Also, your kids, how old is your youngest child now?
My youngest is now 20. Actually, birthday coming up on Sunday. She's going to be 22.
22.
And the oldest is 23.
Awesome. So if the offer stands, Kevin, for you anytime. If you're ever in Vegas or want to come to Vegas, you want to stay with us, and we can give you your autonomy, or we can take you to shows or whatever you like to do. That offer is always open to you. I hope
that
you'll
is
take me
awesome.
up on it.
I'd love to. Thank you.
Anytime you can have Kevin Wallace come and visit you, you should take him up on it. It's a good deal. All right. Well, Kevin, any last words for the group?
Well, I was kind of thinking, it got me thinking when you mentioned the interview that we had at Cisco Live, and I think what you had asked me back then, you were asking me like, what are like 3 big tips for people kind of getting into the industry? I just wanted to hit on maybe 3 tips really quick. And if you decide that I think IT is for me, I really want to go down this path. If I had 3 tips for anybody in that category, I would say number 1, and I almost hesitate to say it because people are going to cringe, but it's goal setting. It's created the career that I have. But I like to think of it as, just for my own psychology, I call it destiny design. And it's where you think about where you're going to be at a certain point, and you just kind of reverse engineer it. People in the NLP call it future pacing. What would you have to do to get there? What are the individual steps? And I've done that many, many times during my career. Everything from CCA development to writing books for CCA pursuits, writing books for Cisco Press, career things. So I think that's got to be a key point. And the second, because life gets in the way, people have good intentions about going after certifications or going after this job or experimenting with this flavor of Linux, and it just doesn't happen. So I'm a big proponent of really scheduling your day, and something that has made a massive, massive difference in my own productivity and just general mental well-being is to kind of have a morning routine. So every morning I get up about 5 a.m. every morning, and I spend some time just kind of having some me time, thinking out the day. I do some mentoring for some young men, and something I was trying to communicate to them recently was they were talking about all these issues they're having during the day, or all these problems that might come up, and they're worried about this. And I told them what I do in those morning sessions. I decide in advance how I'm going to handle situations. I know it might sound negative, but I think, okay, what are some challenges that might come up today? And how would my best self handle each of those challenges? And by deciding in advance, you're not like shook when something happens. I think about what's got to get done today. Even if I'm not going to pay attention to a particular project, I think, what projects are on my radar? What do I need to kind of keep in the back of my mind? I kind of turn that on myself. I ask myself, I say, if I were my own life coach, standing back, kind of disassociating, what would I tell myself? What advice would I give myself this day? And I spend literally about 15 to 20 minutes a morning just kind of thinking through my day, looking at my schedule, anticipating how I'm going to respond to different issues. In fact, here's a tip for you, for your viewers. The planner, I've used a bunch of planners. I'm kind of a nut when it comes to planners. I love electronic. I love paper. I use the Things app on my phone and on my computer. big fan of Brendan Burchard, and he has the high performance planner, and this is what I'm currently using. And I go through this every morning, and it's got a bunch of prompts that have you think through your day, and then at the end of the day, you kind of review your day and think about, okay, did my best self show up, and how did I handle this, or how could I have made this better? And what am I grateful for today? It's really helped me feel less frazzled and stressed, and it's reduced the urgency by just taking time to decide in advance how you're going to handle different things. And as my third tip, and it's something near and dear to our hearts, and that's, if you're going to be in this industry, I think certification is a big deal. People will argue that, well, I can be really good and I don't need a certification to prove my worth. Well, you might need it to prove your worth to a future employer. I think there's a lot of career benefit that comes with getting certifications. And you and I have talked about what Cisco did here in back at Cisco Live, where they kind of, like on the Avengers, they snapped the Infinity Gauntlet and all these certifications went away, and it's a whole new world like this. I mean, I've been working with Cisco stuff since 1989. I worked with the old AGS Plus router way back then, and I've never seen such a radical change in the landscape of Cisco that we've seen in the last couple of months. So I think we are now at a great time to take advantage of some of these new certifications coming down the pike. I mean, 2 exams to get an NP, that's unheard of. There's just some great things happening. So again, to sum up, my 3 big tips were, where do you want to be 6 months? Where do you want to be in a year? Well, break it down. What steps would you have to take along the way to get there? Get in control of your morning. Do not, would be my advice. Do not check your email for the first hour of the day, because that pulls you into somebody else's priorities. Make that your time where you can focus and think about your day. It's going to make a huge difference for you. And make some strategic certification decisions based on these massive changes that Cisco just shook the world with. But yeah, just wanted to share that with your viewers.
Kevin, thank you. I do have a follow-up question on Brendan Burchard's high performance planner. Is that a digital thing, or is it online, or is it an app, or is it paper? What is it?
It is paper, and yeah, let me hold it up to the camera here.
Okay.
It's available in 6 different colors. That's the reason I have this weird blue, and I didn't get to choose the colors. Or you can just buy black if you want to. But yeah, it's a paper product. It's good for 2 months. I would recommend people subscribe to his podcast, The Brendan Show. It's got some great stuff on there. But I'm telling you, just helping me think through my day and then reviewing the day at the end of it, it's made a big difference. I'm sure it'll put a dent in anyone's life that wants to try that.
I love it. I love making dents. I love moving the needle. I love people like you who are helping people to do that. I have just a tag-on question. Have you seen my series on success?
Yeah, I have, and I thought, that is so awesome, because I mean, you're not, and I really respect you for doing that. It's not like you're on there trying to sell a class on success or be one of those internet gurus, but you're just really trying to. I mean, you and I both, the IT world has been good to us, and I think I'm kind of in the position that you are. And I'm starting to do more and more live casts and talk more about success also, and help people make their decisions, because it's kind of like passing it on. And yeah, I did see your series on success, and I've watched many of those videos. And yeah, I want to thank you for contributing to the community. I think you're doing a great service. Well,
thanks. As I was listening to your destiny design and saying where do you want to be in 1 year and 5, I thought, brother, that's exactly how I feel, because these are we're both over 30. Is that safe to say?
That is safe to say.
So here are 2 guys that have done really well in their IT careers, and we're both giving back. We both are giving of ourselves. And if we're both saying destiny design, where do you want to be in 5 years, then break it down into the steps. If multiple people are saying the same thing and they're successful currently where they're at, it's a great idea to take it. That's why I just am super excited to talk with you. Kevin, we don't talk enough, so I would like to formally reach out a few more times a year than I do right now. Just like Cisco Live, once a year, or it's not enough. I need more Kevin in my life.
Oh,
So,
I need more Keith in my life too. I'd love for you to be on the Broadcast Storm podcast at some point.
by the way, that name, and I'm happy to do it, that name, the Broadcast Storm, brilliant. Brilliant. All right. So, Kevin, thanks for joining me. Appreciate you. And for everybody else who has taken a few minutes out of your day to join us in this video, we're glad that you're here. I would encourage you to follow Kevin on social media. He has a lot of great things to offer. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, Keith Barker Networking, the OG of IT, please do that as well. And Kevin and I both hope to see you in future videos and encourage you in your success in the world of IT as time goes on. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you next video.